Hey there, all you wonderful treasures out there. Uh, so today's episode, I guess, um, what I have in store for you, the content that I have brought directly to you, my faithful treasures, is none other than a indie game. I had previously purchased a bundle on itch.io, which is very very well known for its indie game development. You're able to post your indie games on there and play them and so on and so forth. So really, really cool. Um, and so I was scrolling through them, and one of my viewers decided to point out a game that I didn't really see. So today we are going to check that game out. This is footage from when I had played it. And then I'll give you guys a nice little review about the game when the video is over. But I think you'll know by the end if I liked it or not. All right, enjoy the video. Draw 9, a journey not about the cards you're dealt, but how to use them. Draw 9 puts you in the role of a magician whose powers depend on a pack of magic cards. These can help or harm, but the selection available to you is determined randomly at the start of the game. Since you cannot choose your cards, you must find the path through the world. Play it? 9 years have you studied in the Arcane Tower. 9 times you have progressed to a new art and a high air floor. But today you stand in the plain stone courtyard, the shadow of the tower, pointing you toward the great outer gates. The Grand Warlock stands before you, a stack of enchanted cards in his wrinkled hand. Draw 9, he says, holding them towards you. Play a 3 of steeds, servants of man, 2 spiders, weavers of chaos, and 4 serpents, agents of death. The enchantments woven into these cards will serve you well over the course of your journey. You step through the oaken gates, never to return. There is a time where all acolytes must make their way to the world. This time is yours. You carry no provisions, no possessions. All you have are the robes upon your back and the 9 cards in your hand. 3 steeds, 2 spiders, 4 serpents. The road to the Arcane Tower is seldom used. The earth is scored with the marks of merchant cartwheels, but the only footprints are your own. The forest here is dark and overgrown. You would fear bandits were you not so certain that you are utterly alone. It looks like it's like a choose your adventure kind of deal. After several hours of walking, you notice trails of smoke on the horizon, the mark of a small settlement. You have at least a chance of a roof over your head tonight, although after years in a tower, you are not sure whether or not you would welcome the company of people with whom you'd have to share it. As if in response to your misgivings, an old beggar bursts from the undergrowth. His breath is foul, his beard unkempt. He clutches at your robes, babbling incoherently. He wants a coin, just one solitary copper. Would you? Just one solitary copper would do, just enough to buy some soup. His vast pupils and mushroom-stained teeth suggest that it is not really soup he is after. However, this does not matter as much to you as you have no coin to offer. You only have the cards. Let's give him a serpent. You draw the card of the serpent and perform the incantation. The beggar takes a few steps back, apparently unsure whether or not to flee. As your incantation fades and the hissing grows, he makes his decision. He runs into the forest, stumbling blindly over branches and stumps. Behind him, discernible only by the foliage shifting around it, something slithers. He falls. His cry cut short. 8 cards remain. You continue on your way. Oh, dude, I'm actually kind of loving this. All right, hold on. Stop the music. Stop the music. Oh, man, dude, you fucked me up with a good story. I love story shit so much. It's always so funny because like when I think of games, like I don't think of like a choose your own adventure tale, but like technically this is a game. All right, continue on your way. You trudge along the path, barely hearing the calls of the birds, hardly aware of the breeze on your skin. You are haunted by the memory of the fear in the beggar's eyes. 8 cards remain. You know you cannot afford to waste their enchantments summoning gold for every vagabond you meet. Still, you wonder. Did you choose that card to save the others, or was that what you wanted from the start? You've come to a signpost directing you to the nearby tower. It is not a large place, though no doubt though no doubt it will have an inn, a good meal, and a warm bed. You are confident that others of your order must have stopped here their first night. At the very least, you are certain that to continue along the forest path would mean a night in the open. Oh, nearby town or a night in the open. Dude, we're going to the town. Is there music? You pass through the pastures, grazed by cows, fields thick with wheat. Farmers put up their hoes and squint against the low sun as you pass. No doubt these people so close to the tower recognize the significance of your robes. Perhaps it is even their grain that, until now, has made your bread. Oh no, you're alright. As you approach the town, you see a boy walking the other way along the road. Seeing you, he turns and runs back home. You wonder if this bodes ill for you. But as you finally pass between the simple gateposts, the token border between town and farmland, you are greeted by the mayor himself. The boy, clearly, has brought news of your arrival. The mayor makes a great speech, praising the arcane tower and all the great figures it brings forth. He is eloquent indeed, but throughout the spectacle you cannot shake the feeling that his words are addressed not to the crowd, nor even to you, but to that slim deck of cards in your hand. There is no doubt in your mind now. Many other acolytes have come this way before. This man wants, expects, demands a blessing from you. They all do. Something in their eyes tells you that you cannot refuse. You draw the card of the steed and perform the incantation. There's a gasp from the crowd as a white horse appears on the horizon, following almost the same path you took to get here. It leaps the low stone walls and trailing hedges, charging with unnatural speed through the pastures, through the cattle, though the cattle seem to pay it no heed. The horse turns into a field of grain, hauling behind it a great wind as an ox would haul through a plow. The wind tears the wheat from the stalks, and the chaff from the wheat. There are shouts of surprise as it bounds over the crowd, cries of delight as the harvest washes into town like a tide, coming to rest in an orderly pile beneath the roof of the market. 7 cards remain. You rest for the night. The mayor has a quiet word with one of the villagers who reluctantly agree to take you in. Strangers, it seems, are not altogether welcome here, even, or perhaps especially, for those from the tower. The man and his family provide you with a meal and a bed, but speak to you only as much as hospitality demands. You suppose you can't blame them for fearing you. In the low light of dawn, your host points you towards the path. Not the path you came by, but the path you must now take. Your journey is long. The road leads beyond the lands that are merely unfamiliar to you, as a student of the tower, and into lands that are unfamiliar to all, the rolling wilderness that is home to only beasts and brigands. You pass a few merchants as you walk. Those with full carts try to trade with you. Those with empty carts merely nod in greeting. The farther you press on, the fewer you meet. At first, this is a matter of only casual interest. However, as days pass by, it becomes deeply troubling to you. You have no food, and the land is bare. Far before you, though not far from the road, lies a humble cottage. Far to one side, perched atop a hill, there's a formidable tower. The wood smoke from the farmer and the splendor of the latter leave you confident that there will be food in both. However, you know not what else waits for you in either. Going to the tower. Hold on, I want to read this real quick. Okay. Maybe we'll full screen it. Just if this scares me, I'm gonna be pissed. You make your way toward the tower. Presence is imposing. It is far taller than you anticipated, and night falls before you reach its gates. You pass by other buildings as you approach, feel cobbled streets beneath your boots, but there is no light in any windows save for those of the tower. The place smells of rot and damp. You knock upon the door. You don't knock up a door. You knock upon the door, and are greeted by a portly man robed in garments of fine silk. He beams to see you. "A guest," he cries. "Please warm yourself at my hearth. It has been long indeed since any traveler has come with tales to share." You spend a pleasant hour by the fire, regaling him with tales of your own tower as you sample the best from his stocks of cheese and wine. Still, you cannot help but feel that something is amiss. The homes outside were abandoned. It is not merely travelers who seem to shun this place. You remark that it is strange to be waited upon by a nobleman rather than his servants. You cannot see your host's face beyond the harsh glow of the fire, but you sense that it has darkened. "I had servants once," he says, "and tenants too. But when times grew hard, they began to envy what I'd earned. They grew ungrateful for what I provided." He stands, and despite the fire, you feel a chill. His figure in the shadow seemed taller, leaner, his footsteps like a cat's. "They walled me in here, that I might know their hunger. They left me to die. But though my bones might rest here, my spirit cannot." You lift a burning brand from the fire, but its light does no more than confirm your darkest fears. The nobleman stares back, with dull eyes sunken into their sockets. His lips have been nibbled away, piece by piece, by the very teeth they once concealed. "Cheese and wine cannot sustain me," breathes the ghoul as he approaches. "But they lure in meat enough." Okay, I'm not about to fucking do that. It's spooky. Spider. Okay. I didn't know if they were gonna, like, show a picture of him or some shit. You draw the card of the spider and begin the incantation. The ghoul screeches to hear the words, their very utterance beginning to unweave the foul magics that comprise its form. It lopes, ape-like, toward the stairs leading high into the tower, but on the bottom step finds itself held fast. A spider, the size of a cart horse, descends upon a thread, turning the creature over and over where it had become entangled in its web. Soon your foe is swaddled head to toe like a corpse in its shroud. But the true corpse lies elsewhere. You search the tower, and a brief inspection of the wine cellar reveals an alcove where sharp brick take the place of worn stone. With the point of a poker, you begin to chip away at the mortar. By the time you've levered away enough bricks to form a gap large enough to squeeze through, the first rays of dawn are beginning to shine through the windows set high in the wall behind you. The light falls upon a withered hand, twitching in the dust. You drive the iron poker through the corpse's heart. When you ascend the stairs once more, its unholy avatar is nowhere to be seen, though the silken shroud still lies upon the floor, empty, but for the faintest dusting of graveyard earth. 6 cards remain. You continue on your way. You pass by empty windows and through abandoned streets. This place is no longer a mystery, merely a monument of hatred and greed. The deck feels thin in your hand, in a way it didn't when you approached this place. Strange to think what a difference one slim card can make. You like to think that you have an influence on this land, that when you pass through places such as this, you might have at least a chance of making old wrongs right. Your thoughts are interpreted by the scent of a salt breeze. Your journey has taken you to the shore. From maps and charts entrusted to the Arcane Tower, you know that this is not truly the sea. It is merely the mouth of a great river. This bank is home to a city port, where goods are taken from far inland and shipped to foreign countries far across the waves. Your destiny, however, lies on the far side. You could surely barter your way into some ship or other if you were to venture into the port, or you could continue on foot through the wilderness to a place upstream where the river has been bridged. Either route is likely to cost you a card. Your magic is all you have to pay your way within the city, and all you have to shield you without. Let's go to the wilderness. It is a long walk to the bridge, requiring many days' travel. Fortunately, the route is not as lawless as it was in the days when the tower's maps were drawn. The local lord has placed a heavy tax on goods traveling by water, and many of the merchants are taking this road to avoid it. You pass through the worst of the wildlands in the company of other armed guards, and are not accosted. However, when you near the far side of the bridge, you are alone and not so lucky. A figure, face concealed behind a heavy scarf, steps out from a pillar, hefting a mace with sharpened flanges. You announce that you are an acolyte of the Arcane Tower. You would no more carry coin than you would drag behind you an idol of gold. The man laughs. The coin I'll get for you is in the hands of another. As he lunges forward, you realize your mistake. He is no mere highwayman, but an assassin. You draw the card of the serpent, but its incantation is complex, and you have barely begun before the assassin is upon you. You find it is too late to step back from the mace's strike, so you lunge forward instead, grappling for the weapon. You fight with all your strength, but this man lives by fire and war, and to him you are no more a threat than a shoe to a cobbler. You find yourself lying on the ground as he kneels above you, readying the head of his mace for a fatal strike. You find also a long dagger hanging from his belt. At first he seems almost unaware of the knife in his belly, though surprise causes him to stay his hand. You use this opening to shove him off, taking up the card of the serpent still lying close by. This man is a threat to you and any other who attracts the wrath of his employers. You do not like to simply assume his wound is a mortal one. Do it, grunts the assassin, tugging the knife from his flesh. End this, but know that I died not by your sorcery, but by your hand. You perform the incantation, but the card is cold and silent. The enchantments marked upon it have been blurred and smeared by the blood of your attacker. You hurriedly cross the rest of the bridge, wipe your hands on the ground, and check the other cards have not been stained. Fortunately, they have survived the encounter. 5 cards remain. You continue on your journey. As you turn off the road served by the bridge and onto the wildlands once more, you begin to wonder who might have left the assassin in wait for you. Until you began this journey, the Arcane Tower was your world. You can barely remember the days before your studies. None there would wish you harm. You consider that you might have made an enemy since you set out, but this line of thought takes you no closer to determining who that might be. But there is yet other possibility. Your foe might yet lie ahead. You shudder. It is possible that you have attracted the ire of some other skilled in sorcery. It is possible that through pool or crystal they marked your progress even now. You find yourself at the edge of a thick forest. A trail winds through the forest. This, you sense, leads toward your destiny. However, the place is dark and foreboding. No birds call from the treetops, no squirrels bark from overhead. There is a shadow over this place. However, the only other route is a long track around the forest. To travel that way would take days, unless you can secure transport. And after your latest misadventure, you suspect you may face fewer foes beneath the trees. You watch the clouds pass by as you ponder your choice. Forest trail or earthen track? Forest trail. Feel a chill as you step into the shadow of the trees. You know only a little magic by heart. Your studies at the tower were no more than a foundation of your knowledge. And for the time being, you must bear your spells on cards. But even you can recognize the malice of this place. The trees watch your approach. The earth listens to your footfalls. Each stone and leaf is a sentry. And so it is not long before you're confronted. So they have sent a mercenary, calls a voice from nearby. One who knows an art like mine. You turn to find a woman, standing at the edge of the clearing. There are leaves in her hair and a knife in her hand. You try to explain yourself, but she will not let you. Do you know whose coin you work for? Did they tell you that Did they tell you that my only crime was to possess those same powers you now wield against me? The plague I called down on the day of my banishment will seem like a mercy compared to the punishment for this hypocrisy. With a deft motion of her hand, she calls forth a magic you know all too well. 100 serpents emerge from the ground, eyes gleaming with ethereal flame. They crawl towards you. You draw the card of the steed and quickly mutter the incantation. A glowing white horse gallops through the forest towards you, heedless of the serpents. By the time you climb onto its back, they are almost upon you. A cobra snaps at your ankle as your steed begins to run. Go on, cries the witch. Warn your paymasters that I'm coming. It will not save them. Let them spend their last days in fear. She has been wronged, and you pity her. but more than you pity those upon whom she wreaks her vengeance. Only over the course of years could this forest become so corrupted. There is no justice in this now, only rage and madness. 4 cards remain. At the edge of the forest, your steed stops and will go no further. You continue on foot. As the tree line shrinks away behind you, you consider that so too have your cards. Of the 9 you drew in that simple stone courtyard, only 4 remain. No matter how many miles you have yet to travel on your journey, you have passed the halfway point. Your destiny awaits. Your journey is a long one. The forest fades first from the horizon and then from your memory. You feel less an acolyte of the tower who set out to travel than a traveler who happened once to study there. You hope to hold that place's lessons in your heart, for the fear that they are slipping from your mind. The land around you is barren and cold. Hunger has become a constant companion. The road you have been following, paved but seldom traveled, turns to match the course of a river. There is a foul stench to it, and you surmise that must be a great city upstream. Perhaps there you could trade your arcane skills for the provisions that you need. However, to venture through the gate, to draw your attention of your unseen foe, a wooden bridge before you leads off into the Badlands. I'll go to the city. You follow the road and river, and sure enough, you find both lead to a walled metropolis, its gates watched over by 2 guards in armor. As you approach, they raise their halberds in a brief salute. You wear the robes of one learned of the arcane arts, says one. Demonstrate your craft, and you shall earn the favor of our lord. Night is falling, and you pass no other shelter by the river's edge. You have no choice but to humor these men who block your way. Draw the card of the steed and recite the incantation. A horse of purest white gleaming from the river and trots through the gate. You follow it, unaccosted by the guards, as it proceeds through the city streets towards the palace steps. Each gate, every barrier along the way opens to accept you, even as those who guarded them fumble for their keys. Only in the very throne room does the steed stop. It pauses, bows before the ruler of this place, then fades to pale incense-scented smoke. Though it strikes you as an unnecessary spectacle, this demonstration of your art gains you a powerful ally. You are furnished with all the provisions you can carry, and the promise that within these walls you will be watched over, no matter how many enemies wait for you without. 3 cards remain. You pass the night in the palace. So few cards left. You know not whether you will ever again see a city such as this, but it seems unlikely that you will look upon its like before the last of the magic that you carry has been conjured. Still, you hope someday to return. You walk the wasteland once more. The barren land stretches on before you, but there is a strange energy brewing in the air. Throughout your journey, no matter what path you chose to walk, something has pulled you in this direction. But now you are drawn not merely in the direction, but toward a particular place, somewhere over on the horizon. Fate calls to you, deeply uncertain and utterly inevitable. A ruined temple lies cracked and broken in the distance. But this is not the place you seek. Indeed, it has an evil aura. The gods it honored are long gone, and their place lurks something vile and corrupted. However, the only route that would escape the notice of the watcher in the temple is through a deep gorge. There's no telling what lies within. Oh, dude, we're going to the temple. Also, I don't know why I'm losing frames, but I better fucking stop that shit. You approach the temple, judging it wiser to face its horrors head-on than risk an ambush, while skirting its grounds. I have to yawn again, hold on. Oh! Gosh. But the guardian of the corrupted temple does not lie in ambush. An armored figure, of full 4 cubits in height, shambles forth to greet you. It drags a sword of bronze behind it, and its form is wreathed with flies. In life, I was a saint, announces the figure. In death, a martyr. My name was honored throughout all time, until one such as you struck it from the stones, and with profane magic bade me guard my own defiled tomb. It raises its sword above its shoulder, taking up the battle stance of a long-forgotten time. End my suffering, or suffer for your predecessor's crimes. You draw the card of the spider and recite its incantation. 2 8-legged beasts, each the size of a merchant's cart, throw ropes of silk around the pillars to the ruined temple. The corrupted saint turns, watches, as the stone is slowly toppled down upon it. A sigh washes across the forsaken land. Whatever dark forces bound together this place and its guardian, they have been unwoven and can never be restored. 2 cards remain. You continue on your way. Someone chose to defile that place. Someone with a knowledge of the occult and the skill to bend its forces to their will. You fear your destiny may have less to do with finding a place for yourself and more with ending some terrible influence over this land. Your journey's end is near. There's a city on the horizon, but it is not a city of the living. No smoke rises from its rooftops, and as daylight fades, no torches shine upon its walls. It is a dead and ancient place, whose people perhaps once paid tribute to their gods at the temple you have left behind. As you walk the dusty road, your frayed robes catching on the dry scrub pushing through the stones, you come to notice cart tracks passing the same way, not yet swept over by wind and sand. Soon, you come across the cart. It rests abandoned where it stands. Its wheels unbroken and its goods untouched. "Run!" cries a voice from nearby. You look around and see a figure clinging to the highest branches of a long-dead tree. His face is pale and his robe streaked with blood. "Leave me! Bring help!" he calls again. "The beast is still here!" It is only then that you notice the horse's legs twitching beyond the cart, the entrails strewn across the ground. A great clawed paw sinks into the bloodied sand as the beast slinks into view, abandoning its meal to investigate your scent upon the air. It walks upon all fours, its frame like a lion, but its tail that of a porcupine, and its head is that of a man, bearing both beard and mane. Its eyes fixed upon you, the creature laughs, a great gob of horse flesh falling from its maw. It surges forward, grinning with 3 rows of teeth. You draw the card of the serpent and recite the incantation. Though the creature before you is born of magic, it is blind to the flames that engulf the card and deaf to the words that call forth its power. The manticore's threat lies in base claws and sinew, and so your ritual does nothing to dissuade it from approaching. Yet the magic of the card is strong, and from the ground before you bursts a great serpent, lunging forth with fangs bared. It strikes the beast before you in the paw, its poison fatal, and the wound severe. But the manticore does not succumb quickly, for it holds venom of its own. It seizes the snake's neck in its jaws, even as the serpent finds its throat. For a time their fight continues, but then the struggle subsides. Beast and serpent lie locked together, their battle at an end, though still undecided. The cart driver clambers unsteadily to the ground, recovering his water skin and a few provisions from his cargo. "Take what you will," he instructed. Often have I come to carry sustenance to the one who dwells within these ruins, but this is as far as this load goes. You beg him to tell you what lies ahead, but he will say no more. He is keen to start his journey home, though you sense that this is not the reason for his silence. 1 card remains. You continue towards the city. You exchange the near gloom of the wasteland for the darkness in the ruined city. On any other night, you would be thankful for the shelter of its walls. Might seek a room with roof intact where you could spend the night, but this night, you cannot sleep. Your destiny is near. In this dead city, where no lights shine, you see an orange flicker in a doorway far ahead. You climb a marble stairway, flanked by statues, but gods or kings you cannot say. This place, temple or palace, has lain abandoned for so long that perhaps none now remember. You step inside. There, cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by the opulence of ancient times, sits a figure by a simple fire. a figure robed in the garb of your own order. Come, says the figure, gesturing to the place opposite her. Sit. You take it, for the night is cold and the fire pleasant. Like you, I studied at the tower, she explains. Like you, I drew 9 cards. Like you, I set out from these gates, but unlike you, no force called me onwards. Instead, I fled something that followed behind. She produced a small orb of crystal, which glints with more than mere firelight. I watched your progress from the day you set forth. I saw you use the card of the serpent against the beggar when you began your first day on the road, and I saw you meet those gaggling townspeople as the day ended. She pauses. There's so much you wish to know. Why your journey called you here, and why she waited for you. She shrugs. Because this could end no other way. 9 floors in the tower, 9 cards in your hand, 9 trials on the journey. No. There was only ever one test, one judge. I was yours, and you were mine. The fire pops and spits. Around the room, stone eyes stare blankly, unseeing and uncaring. I've used my cards, explained the other acolyte. I was the one who set the assassin before you. Having won his favor with the card of the serpent, I raised the temple guardian to keep you from this place. The manticore was my work also, its flesh woven by the spider. She laughs briefly. But you should know that not all my magic was employed in hindering your progress. I too had to call the steed to save me from the witch who dwells in the dark forest. There's silence for a moment. Every card I drew in that stone courtyard is gone now. One of yours remains. Tell me, did you save that card deliberately? Or was it merely the one that you happened not to use? She laughs. That is wise of you. There's a pause. Tell me, she continues eventually. Will you use it now? No, I won't. You do not draw the card of the serpent, nor do you recite its incantation. The other acolyte wipes tears of joy. Even after all of this, you are willing to forgive me? You were wise to hold back the card of the serpent, but generous not to make use of its advantage. Perhaps we can yet travel together. My studies are over, but I might learn still more from you. We got a good ending? See, all I need is a good story, man. That was good. That was good. That was good. Well, if it wasn't obvious enough, Draw 9 was amazing. I'm not sure if this content is anywhere on YouTube at all, but if it isn't, it needs to be. It's simple. The game is straightforward. It gives you what you need, and it tells a tale, and it's one of those choose your adventures kind of thing. I loved it. I loved it a lot. I really wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. I don't often have like such good what do you say? How do you say it? I don't have high hopes going into most games these days, just because a lot of the gaming industry does what it does, and sometimes it goes good, and most of the times it goes bad. So going into this, I wasn't expecting much. Obviously, a little of the ways through, I figured it was some kind of horror game, like it was a joke, and I was like gonna get spooked and scared, but honestly, the game was great. Storytelling, 5 out of 5, really good, really creative. There's no real characters, you know, other than yourself. And really, I mean, the entire story is about character development. So there's that. Um, there's, you know, there's no combat. It's just story. So, the story being as it is, and the general like idea behind the game, right? You know, most people aren't going to consider this a game. They're going to consider it like a, you know, a visual novel, right? And even if that's the case, right? It's a game, right? You're playing it. You're interacting with it in a way that allows you to pretty much play it. Um, so yeah, that's that. I was very, very happy with it. I don't know if that's just because I needed something new in my gaming world or if I needed something different, but um, honestly, it would get a solid. It'd get a solid. I mean, for what it is as a visual novel, I I'd give it a 5 out of 5. Right? I mean, I haven't exactly created a scaling, a grading system for these indie games yet, but 5 out of 5 is pretty good. Um, you know, obviously as far as the story goes, is pretty good. Um, I do actually. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna get a 4 out of 5. The only reason it got a 4 out of 5 is because there was no music. It was just that. The music that you hear in the video is music that I had played on YouTube for this. Um, so I wanted to put myself more into a situation that kind of uh, gave it a better background to it. So music is definitely important. If there was music and I missed it, I didn't get it. Hopefully, the developer of the game can tell me, and that can be a thing. But yeah, it's great. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm sure the replayability of it is always really good. I mean, obviously, the ending I got was one out of, I'm sure, several, but I enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun, and hopefully, you guys had a lot of fun too. I know it's a longer thing, but I didn't want to exactly cut out anything. It was a very short game. For much longer games, we're probably going to piece together stuff and footage, and I'll probably talk over it. But with this one being a visual novel and I being the one to read it, I figured we'd put in the whole thing for you. So thank you all so much for watching this video, and check out Draw 9. I mean, honestly, it's a free game on itch.io as far as I can tell, so if you can't find it and you have to buy it, I'm not sure how much it costs, but I think it's free. So you should just check it out and add it to your collection because it's great. The fact that they went through all this trouble to give you something for free is mind-blowing. So there's that. Yeah. So thank you so much. Make sure to drink your water, eat your vegetables, and don't be a dick. I'll catch you guys in the next video. All right. Nerd out.